So you and your fiance decided to go to Henderson.
Yeah, well, I had been contacted on Facebook by a previous acquaintance of mine, and he asked me if I was looking or interested in buying a firearm, and I said, well, what kind of firearm you got? And he told me. I said, I'll come check it out, you know. So on our way there, we got a flat tire, and I called him and said, you know, I'm not going to be able to make it. We got a flat tire. And he said, well, I'll come help you. So then he came to the south point to where the tire was flat, and was changing the tire, and he was standing around. When we got done, we followed him to his house, and then my fiance stayed in the car, and I went into the house. And when I went into the house, I seen the firearm box sitting on the kitchen table. I sat down next to it. He kept trying to offer me water, and I just didn't want it, so I pushed it away. And then as I went to open the firearm box, I felt something tighten around my throat and start to strangulate me, which was another person from the back that had a towel wrapped around my throat. They strangled me until I was unconscious. And then I woke up and I was zip tied in the corner, and they were hitting me with their gun. And at that point, they told me to make a phone call and call my fiance and tell her to come inside. And I told them I wasn't willing to do that. So then they went outside and they got her. And then when she came inside, they zip tied her up too. And if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't be alive today, because she told them, you know, why are you gonna just rob us for this money? I mean, why don't you just go to the house and get everything? And pretty much convinced them that there was money here. And she knew that, as well as I know, that if I got inside of the house, I had a firearm in here, and then I could protect us and I could defuse the situation. So therefore, once I got inside the house, I immediately told them I needed to use the restroom, and they unbound one of my hands. So as I used the restroom, I locked the door, and I ran through the other side of the bathroom into the master bedroom, and I grabbed my AR-15, and then I chambered my weapon, and then I started firing at them, and I advanced towards the front door. By that time, they had already gotten back into their vehicle, and they were fleeing the scene. I went outside to get into my Porsche, but the key was not in it because they had taken the key. So then I had to get in another vehicle, and by the time I got in the other vehicle, they were already gone. So first thing I did is I went to the gas station and I called the police and reported it.
And why didn't you have your cell phone on you?
Huh?
Why didn't you have your cell phone on you?
They took my cell phones, they took her cell phones, they took everything we had.
And your girlfriend, I'm sorry, your fiance, she was in that other car that the kidnappers drove off in?
Yes.
And so how did she escape? What did she tell you?
She told me that they took her to a condo around the corner, and they pretty much, it was amateur hour, and they were both arguing about who's going to take the gun, and she saw her opportunity to get out of the vehicle and run, and she got out of the vehicle and fled the scene, and she ended up at the bar, and they called the police.
To know this has happened to you, this is, I mean, the emotions, what are you going through? What are both of you going through?
This is really traumatic, you know, about it.
Really traumatic?
Yeah.
I mean, does it make you wary about people?
Yeah, you know, normally I always have my firearm on me, but for some reason I knew the gentleman from the past and I felt comfortable, so I didn't have my firearm on me. And, you know, I'm a firm believer in that you should always carry a firearm to protect you and your family at all costs, you know. And at this point in time, I had left the firearm inside of the vehicle. And when they put us in the vehicle to transport us to the other house, I began to try and reach for the firearm to defend myself, and they started pistol whipping me in my face with their gun, and we struggled over the gun, and then they got a hold of it.
For you though, how long have you lived in the neighborhood?
I've only lived here for about a year and a half. I previously owned the house for probably 10 years, but it's normally rented out.
Okay, so you've lived in the neighborhood for a year and a half. To know that this has happened to you, I mean, are you scared, and especially knowing that these guys are still out there?
Yeah, you know, I am kind of scared, but I believe that the police are going to do their job and they're going to apprehend them.
Police are saying, you know, this case just seems really suspicious. What do you have to say to people who are watching this and knowing that these two men are...
It can happen to anyone. It could literally happen to anyone. I mean, we were on our way to go look at a firearm. You know, people sell firearms on Craigslist and on the internet all day, and you know, it could happen to anyone. I can't stress how much that you should keep a firearm on you at all times.
And you didn't bring your firearm in the house?
No, I did not bring the firearm in the house. I ended up leaving it in the car because I felt comfortable around these people because I had known the gentleman several years ago, and I knew him for quite some time and never really felt any type of way about him.
And how are you and your I'm so sorry, how are you and your fiance coping with this today, less than 24 hours?
You know, we just stick together and we got each other's back like Bonnie and Clyde, so that's what it is.
But what, are you guys doing anything, talking with each other?
Yeah, we talk to each other a lot.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't be standing here today.
And if you don't mind going into detail, why is it because of her that you're here today?
Well, because, you know, she got inside of their minds and started playing mind tricks with them and calling them by their first names because she heard them talking to each other in Spanish and she understands Spanish. So she heard them talking and she started playing mind games with them, and then she told them, you know, why are you going to settle for the couple $100 in his pocket? Why don't you just go to his house and get the money out of the safe?
And that's what brought them here.
Yeah, and realistically, everybody knows rich people carry debit cards. They don't carry money. We don't have money in our homes.
No, it's all in the bank.
We got black cards.
Is there anything you would like to add, or anything else you'd like to add, especially since these guys are out here? I mean, what
You know,
should we
I just
worry
can't
about?
stress how much that, you know, people need to be cautious about who they deal with, and at all costs always carry a firearm on you, because, you know, it is our right to carry and bear arms, and, you know, if I would have had it on me, it would have been a different situation.